An international deal as we look to the situation overseas. It's aimed at diffusing a standoff in Ukraine, but armed pro-Russian separatists remain armed and in place, and they want to see real results before they lay down their arms and give up. They say they need more assurances for their security. So where does this leave us? Still very much in limbo. Let's bring in John Muskak. You're with the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce. I got that title right, I hope. Let's talk a little bit about the developments that we have seen just in the last 24 hours since the Secretary of State, John Kerry, came out and spoke. What do you think about this possible deal? Is this a little bit of light?
You know what? I don't see it as being much light at all. I mean, you have separatist movement in eastern Ukraine. You have armed men that are taking buildings. These armed men, again, are Russians. They're not Ukrainians. These are Russian provocateurs and agents that are vandalizing buildings, that are burning tires, that are walking around at gunpoint and terrorizing people, and that are claiming to want to join Russia. The general people in Ukraine and in those regions specifically have no intention of joining Russia. So,
is there any optimism? Because as I watched all the newscasts last night, that's what they kept saying. There is optimism about this deal. And I think to myself, well, what have we really heard today? Because I get the sense that Mr. Vladimir Putin is very much in control. Mm-hmm. He's in the driver's seat. He's going to get the last laugh here because the United States really isn't taking a harsher stance than using some words.
Alex, it's just like you said. I mean, the line is very blurred. I mean, again, we have, President Obama just, using words and saying there will be consequences, there will be action, but there is no action.
And we've heard it before.
Well, we've heard it for 3 months. I mean, the Russians understand this, and Putin he doesn't even really need a strategy except to keep doing what he's doing. Because there's no pushback. I mean, it's painful as a Ukrainian to see that and say that. It's painful that we can't fight our own fight and win at this. But when you're dancing with the bear, you'd hope that your friends and allies and neighbors would come to your support.
Well, one that has come to the support and keeps pushing forward is President Stephen Harper, Prime Minister rather. Stephen Harper. We are sending over 6 fighter jets to the region. That's not a huge contribution, but it is
for Canada. You know, like Stephen Harper, our Prime Minister, has been fantastic. The Canadian government have been fantastic. They've been trailblazers. They've been setting the trend. When Prime Minister Harper went to Ukraine with Minister Baird and others, and then went to the G7 and he basically led that mission to suspend Russia temporarily. They've done tremendous amounts, and militarily we're doing what we can with NATO committing our forces. So again, it's setting a precedent that we would hope that our neighbors to the south would follow.
What do you make of these reports? And some say it's all just propaganda, it's not true, but it has been substantiated by the White House and by some Western leaders, including here in Canada, but masked men handing out anti-Semitic flyers in front of Jewish synagogues, making Jews in the area sign their names, their addresses, giving out their information.
Is this
something that you could see happening?
No. This is something, well, again, it's specific to eastern Ukraine. These masked men are trying to behave like fascists because they are claiming that the government in Kyiv are fascists. And so they're trying to recreate whatever they can to destabilize the government. Anti-Semitism has been dealt with as a question. I mean, the Prime Minister has Jewish roots. The President has Jewish roots. The Governor of Dnipropetrovsk, which is the most industrial province of Ukraine, is the leader of one of the World Jewish organizations, Mr. Kolomoisky, and he walks around actually in a T-shirt with a menorah with a Ukrainian trident on it, saying, Jews for Bandera and Jews for Ukraine. Does anti-Semitism exist? I'm sure it exists, but it exists on varying degrees in varying countries.
But it is a tactic that could be very effective, given that it would create instant instability, anger, fear.
Yeah, but you know what? People are they're picking up the clues much quicker. And so when the White House sees this, I mean, people are acknowledging that this is happening, but not necessarily a Ukrainian phenomenon. I mean, you have masked men with guns that are running around terrorizing people. And so why not terrorize as many people as possible?
Just over the last few weeks, NATO has been shown to be, economically unstable, completely dependent on Russian energy, lacking any kind of meaningful military intervention. So Russia is just simply controlling this thing. There's no humiliation for Russia because they can essentially do so many things other than militarily move in. I mean, they're holding this country hostage, essentially.
They are. They are. I mean, well, the Ukrainians have been paying the highest gas bill in the world. I mean, we have the Guinness Book of World Record now that, even the IMF and other international groups are saying that we cannot afford to pay. The Russians have been playing a game with Ukraine and with Europe for the last, I'll say 8 years, is that every time something comes up that they don't like, they threaten to turn off the gas.
Sure.
And they've cried wolf just a number of times. So, I mean, the Germans have invested billions of euros into LNG terminals in northern Germany, as have the French. In Germany, you have the largest reserves of natural gas holding tanks and capacities. So they're slowly weaning themselves off a dependency of Russian gas. And Ukraine is also learning that lesson. There are other places to get natural gas.
But I'm surprised that someone like President Obama, there are a lot of reserves to draw upon in the United States right now as far as energy that they could send to Ukraine. This would be a pretty powerful thing, because then Ukraine would not be reliant on
There was
Russia.
an act of Congress, and I don't remember the date exactly. It was about a month ago, maybe a little over a month ago, that they had passed a bill to begin selling energy products to Europe. And so hopefully Ukraine falls into that category. And
Well, you would think, but to me, that's just a no-brainer. That is one power card that President Obama, you want your red line? Here, put this on the red line, because right away that sends a message to Mr. Putin that, hey, you want to extort this country, you want to hold them, ransom, not give them things like energy, we'll make sure that they have energy. You don't have that much power over them.
Absolutely.
But he doesn't do it.
He doesn't do it. I hate to criticize, our friends and neighbors, but yeah, the American government, well, President Obama particularly, has really not been there. He hasn't come to the game. I mean, there's been a lot of hard talk, and I understand the ramifications. I mean, nobody wants a war.
But he didn't act when it came to Syria, and that's why I think Vladimir Putin is doing what he is doing today
Alex,
to Ukraine.
You hit it bang on. I mean, Putin knows how to manipulate Obama, and he's doing it. And unfortunately, he's not making Mr. Obama look very good on the international stage right now.
No, but I mean, we do have that very famous clip of Obama talking about his flexibility for Mr. Putin after the second election, if he won it, and apparently that meant he was going to completely bend over and do whatever Mr. Putin wanted. But Putin is enjoying 75% approval rating in his own country because of his response to Ukraine.
But you have to understand that Putin's approval rating in Russia, he controls the media. He controls all the press. It's like it was in other dictatorships. I mean, this cult of personality. So I mean, his picture is there. They show him as a strong man, as a leader, and if he has strife, externally, then nobody looks at the problems internally. So the media is constantly showing, that the war with Ukraine. And they're describing it as a war with Ukraine, that they're going in to save the Ukrainians from civil war because the Ukrainians cannot live on their own.
And the people are buying it. Look, today on the calendar, Good Friday, is an incredibly important day, especially to the people of Ukraine. It's one of the holiest days around the world. Yes. It'll be marked. And then Easter Sunday, of course, is the most important day on the calendar. How will services, I mean, you're obviously going to prayer to a service after the show. What do you think the message will be during service? Will this be reflected upon?
Easter is the Ukrainian people are a very religious people. So, Easter is the holiest day of the year for Orthodox Christians and Eastern Rite Catholics. Easter is a time of the resurrection. It's a time of new hope. It's a time of eternal life. And so I think that will be the message that gets spread from the religious leaders. Will be hope, dignity, and everlasting life. That Ukraine will continue on and hopefully vanquish or at least be rid of the Russian invaders. Yeah,
under this heavy burden. Let's bring Gina Phillips into this conversation, if you don't mind, John, because a curious face popped up as part of this whole narrative yesterday.
Yes.
Some, hail him a hero. I'm not so sure about that title.
Yeah, Edward Snowden just happened to pop into the question and answer session that Putin held yesterday. It was a televised event. In the middle of the program, one of the hostesses said, "Oh, we have an unexpected video message," to which Snowden's video message
just showed
came
up with a gun to his back by Mr. Putin.
Exactly. Anyway, Snowden asked directly about domestic surveillance and the amount of spying that goes on, to which Putin assured Snowden Snowden that they don't do mass surveillance on its population.
No, never.
So, yeah, it was a very, it seemed very set up. A lot of people criticizing Snowden, others saying, you know what, I'm not surprised at all. Well, Snowden has responded to the criticism. In The Guardian, just posted about an hour ago, he said that he has no allegiance with Russia, and he said Putin's response was very similar to Obama's response when asked the same question about the NSA's domestic surveillance programs years ago. So kind of an interesting back and forth happening. You know, Snowden represents freedom for many people.
That's why he's hiding in Russia, and he's now Vladimir Putin's official puppet.
Is he a prop?
There's freedom for you.
Yep, so quite the interesting back and forth. Is he a political prop for Putin now? Well, a lot of people saying yes.
Well, he is. And John, I mean, you look at a guy like, he's American, so for the people of Russia, for an American to be saying all these things, it just solidifies Mr. Putin's message.
Oh, listen, he's a great tool for Mr. Putin because he embarrasses the White House. He embarrasses President Obama. I mean, he is a traitor. He went and he shared classified information, and then he escaped to Russia. And the Russians took him because now they can prop him up whenever they want to embarrass the Americans.
Yeah, absolutely. And who knows what secrets he has told them. We've got to leave it there. I want to thank you so much for coming in on this.
Thank you, Alex.
Good flight.